All right, Josh Paul, you were at the State Department. You resigned quite early on when this war started, and you're here today in D.C. for the Rally for Gaza. What brings you out?
So I'm actually here to speak for current government staff who have written a letter to President Biden and who have a statement to read out today on their behalf, calling for a ceasefire, calling for an end to the bloodshed, calling for a change in American policy. I think this is a really important moment, for America and for all of us gathered here today. So I'm proud to represent those still in government who are trying to have their voice heard.
Well, you resigned quite early on. This has been going on. We're almost about to reach the 4-month point.
Yeah.
Did you expect it to go on this long?
No, I really didn't. I have not been surprised at all, I'm sorry to say, by the scale of the killing, of the loss. But I thought by now, we would be moving into something else. Unfortunately, it's still going on, and U.S. policy has not changed one iota. There's been a change of tone, but we continue to provide the arms that are killing so many, and that needs to stop.
And you're here representing the staff, right? So you're still in contact with people. Do you see a growing opposition to this inside the administration?
Yes, and so there are hundreds of staff who I'm in touch with who are doing all they can within the system to try and change things. I think the pressure is growing. I think as the International Court of Justice hears charges of genocide brought, people do not want to be a part of an administration that is facilitating a genocide. So I think there is an added pressure that people are feeling, and I hope that pressure is being felt in the White House.
And now you see this war has expanded. The U.S. is now bombing Yemen as a result of this. I mean, do you see an end game here that isn't catastrophic? I mean, more catastrophic than what we already see.
So I think we are on the verge of a catastrophe, and I don't necessarily mean in terms of regional escalation, but even if the bombs were to stop dropping tomorrow in Gaza, there will still be millions living without access to food, water, hospitals, electricity, homes. There is a humanitarian catastrophe coming our way that we must be aware of. We are still in the early stages of this disaster, I'm sorry to say.
Well, you also worked inside the State Department for weapons approval process to other countries, and I've seen you in other interviews say there have been decisions and compromises you've had to make, but this was just a step too far. What about this particular war in Gaza, this genocide in Gaza? What about this is particularly heinous that made you just say this is the red line for me?
So there are two major factors here. One is the scale and the scope of what is happening, and it is happening with our arms, not just with our arms, but with arms that you, the taxpayer, are paying for in great part. But also there is no chance for any debate or discussion within the State Department about the policy choices we are making right now. And that has not always been the case. Even under the Trump administration, there was space for debate to mitigate some of the worst outcomes of our provision of arms. That has not been the case here. So to raise these issues, I had to step out of government.
Well, I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for speaking with us.
Thank you very much indeed for having me. Yep.